Hello everyone, in this flight I joined my friend Ben, who you may recognize from my Niagara Falls video, on a flight to Ocean City, New Jersey. We encountered lots of difficult weather along the way, making this different from the usual sightseeing flight. When we departed Allegheny County, we were flying in between two overcast layers of stratiform clouds, which were optimal flying conditions. There was an oddly shaped stationary front that curved down from Ohio to Kentucky, then back up to New Jersey, which themed the weather for the day. When we crossed through the stationary front, we encountered lots of buildup with a few towering cumuliform clouds to avoid. Once we crossed the Delaware River into New Jersey, we saw several blue holes, as they're called. These are abandoned quarries filled with water mixed with sulfur, giving it a tropical blue color. Swimming is unadvised because the water is lined with industrial waste and sheer drop-offs of over 100 feet with large temperature drops. We eventually made visual contact with the airport and flew a very non-eventful approach in the runway 24. Hi guys, I'm here at the Ocean City Airport in New Jersey with Benjamin Ridgway working on his commercial certificate. Took a brand new 172-601 Lima Sierra. We're on the ramp here. Got some pretty cool planes as neighbors. Got the Piper Cub, got an RV, and you can't see it behind the fuel truck there. We have a P-51 Mustang. So we're gonna go to the beach, do a little bit of sightseeing, and then we're gonna go fly around the Jersey coast before heading back to Pittsburgh. At Ocean City, we made the traditional visit to Bill's Pancake House and walked along the beach before heading back. We didn't stay too long at the destination because there was a lot of weather moving in. We had a pre-flight brief on how we were going to get back home. The first segment of the journey was getting out of New Jersey. A rather large pop-up storm formed west of Ocean City and later moved towards the beach. To avoid this, we flew south towards Cape May and then proceeded up along the west coast towards the north. We chose to depart VFR so that we could have the freedom to alter course as needed. If we flew IFR and got stuck into a layer of clouds, we'd have no way of knowing if we're about to fly into a storm or not. We stayed over 2,000 feet high to avoid wildlife areas in New Jersey, but stayed below eye level with the storms so that if we needed to divert, we wouldn't be stuck on top in a bad situation. The true problem was that the line accumulating storms we circumnavigated earlier in the day had become mature thunderstorms at this point and stretched all the way up to Scranton, Pennsylvania. Our plan was to fly along this wall of death and to either look for a large enough opening to fly through or go all the way to North PA to go around it. We did this while intentionally staying near airports so that if anything changed, we could divert with no problems. The precip was moving extremely slow, hence the stationary front, so we could easily fly in front of it without it overtaking us. In this clip, you can see the visibility started dropping while we were close to Lancaster, so we continued northbound. We ended up finding a very large opening that had ceilings way up at 12,000 feet. We started climbing so that we could look over the clouds so that we could gauge the weather. The onboard data link updated and showed that all the storms began dissipating from reds and oranges to yellows and greens. We couldn't see any large thunderstorms anymore, so we decided to pick up IFR and get radar vectors through the soup. At this point, I put away the camera to focus on the flying. From what we could see above the cloud layer is that the vertical development was not nearly as bad as it was earlier. During the descent in the county, the outside air temperature started to increase again. When we opened up the air vents, we were met with quite the surprise. Looking back, I would not recommend this kind of flying to anyone watching this, not even the instrument rated folks. We successfully avoided the storm moving to Ocean City, but I would suggest that if we would have waited in Pennsylvania for another hour, the IMC would have dissipated even more, which would have reduced the risk. All in all, I think there's something to be learned from every flight, and I think this was a good experience to use for future judgment calls. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next.